Okay, hey there, everybody. I hope you can hear me. John G and JR, welcome. Um, let's get the intro music started away. I found a nice little number, kind of amusing. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that number. I thought it was quite therapeutic. Now we shall remove our screen here, and we shall. Oh, do you like the avatar? Um, and now we will share a little. Oh, welcome to the living room. How do I? Oh, oh, yeah, that'll do. All right. So, everybody, I hope everyone is well. And with that little jingle jangle tune, let's try and keep this light-hearted. Um, everyone can relax a little bit. You know, we're still in January. Um, it's like everyone's in a rush to get this year finished. So, welcome again, John G, JR, Chris Mitchell, Chaos for You. Thank you for coming here. You're very welcome. Hope you're nice and settled. Hope you're doing well. And then all this. This is just a general live stream. Yeah, I haven't been on. I haven't done one for a while, and I figured, oh, I better do something. I do have some topics, but I'm still trying to flesh them out. And I like to try and information overload if possible. So I'm holding back from doing them. And at the same time, I got some other things in like real world stuff that needs to be done. So I'm trying to get that backlog out of the way first. So as a little update, I suppose, for example, here in the UK, I'm in the process of doing my tax returns, so I have to go through all my receipts and invoices and paperwork and fill in the forms. That should be done within the next couple of days. Just fine tuning it a little bit, making sure it's correct. Been doing some work around the house, doing some work around the car, because that needs to be serviced for next month. We've been having a lot of cold weather, so a lot of frozen, icy conditions, which is getting to my bones. So not really putting me in the mood to want to do much other than just trying to keep warm. So I've been eating like a monster. And that's inadvertently sent my sugar levels up. So my diabetes might be a little bit not out of control, but needs a bit of attending to. I was going to say attention. And hopefully as the weather starts to warm up, I want to try and get into a bit more fitness with my little one. She's been trying to make me race her to and from school, and I realized the bones in my feet, maybe they're too frozen, but it's kind of, I can't quite run like how I used to run. It might also be because I'm trying to lug a backpack on me, but yeah, or she's getting faster than, I can't keep up with her. So she's beating me, the little rascal. And speaking of the little one, I think she's had a bit of a growth spurt. All these clothes that I bought for her in advance, she's already pretty much wearing them. And these are like in age groups. I mean, the labels on the clothes, they're inaccurate. I don't know if this is a common thing, but I bought clothes for her with the age tag of like 12 years old, and she's only 9, and she's already more or less wearing them. So all her coats are now getting too small. So that's something I overlooked. I didn't really get any stockpile of coats, but so I'll have to do a bit of clothes shopping, a bit of girly type of shopping, shoes, well, not yet handbags, but oh well. And speaking of like kids and I suppose school, I've been a bit occupied with trying to make some changes at the school. Now I know like some of the guys, we would like to see societal changes, but obviously being individuals, I mean, how much change can you impact on a societal level? So if you can do it on a communal level, and in my case, like in the school, I consider that as taking small steps for a change. So I've been gradually red pilling some of the parents. I know you can't technically like red pill them, but I've given them food for thought anyway, and I want to be pushing that further into the teaching arena and giving the teachers something to ponder about, because they're in the process of wanting to implement change for a better future for the children, and every time they put forward a suggestion, I get a bit I'm a bit dubious, because I know that in the creation of such idea, like for example, like what the hell are you talking about? For example, they want to promote say the mental well-being of the children, so they want to build confidence, they want to build resilience, they want to build inspiration or imagination, and they want to build self-esteem, although they didn't actually say that. And all these are quaint, nice sort of sentiments, but unless you know what you're doing, you're going to be making matters worse. So I want to caution them, like, beware of the Trojan horse. All these policies of inclusivity and equality, yes, on paper it sounds wonderful, but they all amount to false promises. And instead of building a better society for the children, or for the children themselves, this will actually hinder them and do far more damage than they realize. Case in point, let's say they want to build confidence. Well, unless you understand how confidence is actually created and built and worked upon, then what are you actually doing? You're instilling a false sense of confidence, a blasé throw caution to the wind, because why not just gamble? So this attempt at producing confidence out of thin air could result in reckless behavior, because they're not going to understand how fear works, for example. So they'll just push it aside and don't worry about being cautious, because you're overly confident. An inflated ego is what they'll be creating. And this is some of the things I would like to point out to them. Now, that means, so this channel, we may be expecting to see some people from my real life. Like, I've got a couple of subscribers now who are parents that I know. And they will be very new to all of this philosophy of ours, the MGTOW concept, and red pills and blue pills and all this sort of stuff. And it might be a bit overwhelming. So please have some appreciation and a gentle reminder to try and keep the language down to a minimal. I'm not going to be strict upon that, but at the same time, try to avoid chaining together creative sentences of, like, descriptive slurs and insults, and sounding a bit leftist in doing so. Trying to throw in buzzwords and things like that. I mean, yes, we have these buzzwords and we have nice words that, we have very captivating words that describe things. When you understand the words, they're very appropriate, but at the same time, misusing such words makes can make you actually look a little bit foolish in a way. So just be a bit mindful of what you're putting out there. And hopefully in time, we'll actually have some of the teachers perhaps come from the school checking out the channel. I don't know. It's a little bit up in the air, because it makes me wonder if I need to have a separate channel, which is not for any of you guys, unfortunately. It'll be just for them. But I don't really want to have to. I don't want to be one of these people with multiple accounts, because it's for me, it's like hard work. I mean, I like keeping track of multiple accounts. How other people do it, I don't know, but they're a bit like that in their head, I suppose. So they get a kick and giggles out of it. I see some new people have come in here. Shall I share some of these comments? Give you some validation, so that you feel like you're being acknowledged, and like, hey, yeah, good evening, Chris. I guess that's in reference to the music at the start of the stream. So we'll just quickly fly through some. Oh, Indy, hello, how are you? David, how are you doing, David? Angela's here, good to see you, sir. Red Pill in the Wind, good to see you. Douglas, hey, Doug. You like the avatar? Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, Billy Ross. How does he speak? Very happy little accidents. So we're going to try and keep this pretty laid back. I got a couple of topics or whatever. There's a couple of things I do want to cover. Okay, we're just gonna. Oh, we need the bottom. I'm just gonna jump. I'm gonna jump like 1, 2, miss a few kind of thing. Yeah, new friends, eh? A friend. The power of friendship. Oh, oh yes. Oh, thank you very much for doing that. Yes, I have added a PayPal. Unfortunately, I'm sorry about that. People were watched. It was a couple of streams ago. They were like, "How do we donate?" So there's a thing there for those who would like to. Many thanks if you do. You don't have to, obviously, and it's not something I particularly want to shill out or whatever or grift. It's there. It's just there. I don't know, but you guys wanted to donate, or some of you do. So thank you very much. Many appreciations and thanks. And it will go to, I haven't decided what cause it will go to. I'll just let it sit there and save it for a rainy day, or if someone else is in need. There have been times when other gentlemen, even on this, in the chat room with us today, that I try to organize funding for during times of crisis and need. So maybe this will be an account that could be used to pay it forward or something like that. I have no idea. I mean, at the moment, I think, as far as I know, the balance is 0. So whatever. But it's there should the need arise. Or and Russ Shackleford. Oh, I'm new here. Greetings, Russ. So now I do. Wait. Right now, this I've got a little section I got written up. I did mean to do this probably now weeks ago. So this, you're gonna have to like do a bit of time traveling with me, and it goes back to, it tails off the end from my last stream. What was it called? When the mask slips. Because afterwards, I didn't realize the impact, or the it seemed to be a pivotal moment in, well, I don't want to make it sound too monumental, but it seemed to have some significance compared to some of the other streams I've done. We saw people having epiphanies. We saw people trying to make amends. We saw quite a lot of positivity coming from it, which is fantastic. So I would like to, I mean, and I was getting a lot of thanks. Now, I was having that stream with Angler, so he also deserves thanks. But not just the two of us, all of you deserve thanking and a pat on the back. We shouldn't think, now I don't want to try and drag what's going on with Angler, and in some ways, I mean, those who know, they know. And in some ways, I've got a light version of that, but the focus is mainly on Angler. But that aside, let's not dwell on that. Let's look at the positives. So we mustn't think that what happens to him or me or any one of us, you know, it could happen, and it can come out of the blue or whatever. So lessons in complacency, negligence, and things like that, and taking things for granted. And we shouldn't think of ourselves, just because it hasn't happened to us, we shouldn't think that we are somehow better than those who have been targeted and abused and harassed and extortion and exploiting and things like that. Basically, this kind of stuff could happen to any one of us, and we should be grateful in Angler's situation that things seem to be turning for the better, and hopefully this can all be put behind him and behind us all in extension, and lessons be learned from it. So don't be cocky in thinking that in your MGTOW red pill philosophy, stoicism, and your strong boundaries, that you are immune. So remember, it can still happen to any one of us. And bear in mind, you know, as we try to fortify ourselves with our strong boundaries and things like that, go on our way and trying to improve our life, the more improvements you make, the more of a target you become in a way, because your successes are an insult and injury to those who want to see you hurt, and they're not going to let you go, you know. So they'll love to see you fall off your horse, or whatever the expression is. And looking back at that stream, the image, if you recall, was the image of hell. And it's kind of ironic because, in a way, that is their destination, but it's where we, in a way, originated from. For many of you, I'm sure it felt like you had to walk through the fires of hell to be where you are today. And I don't know if there's some sort of like quirky meaning behind that, in a sense. Like, we are able, because we are able to do that. Those who can heal and recover and do the work, they will be able to, like the phoenix rising up from the ashes of hell or whatever. But for the vast majority, they cannot, and instead they'll pretty much nosedive into it, into oblivion. Now, that would sort of mean, for many of us, we may be treated as though we are the damned, but we know that it does not have to be our destiny if we at least try. And that's all we're really asking from people, is to try, really. You can't ask for much more. Those with the intention and the courage and the fortitude, the sort of the desire, etc. The trying is the catalyst which will take you further, but you're not gonna go any further. You're not gonna go further. You're not gonna rise. You're not gonna reform. You're not gonna restructure if you don't do anything. So twiddling your thumbs and being complacent and bone-eyed or lazy is not what MGTOW is about. It's not how men are created. It is the blood, sweat, and tears and perseverance and growing from your failures. And that kind of ties into the second part of the topics I want to talk about. But before we get there, I just wanted to thank you all again, gentlemen, for supporting one another. Doesn't matter if it does matter, but I mean, at the same time, we can put this behind us, like the in-house fighting. If we strip it down into its basic components, we'll see that most of it is basically trivial silliness. It's a distraction. So, another reminder to guard your hearts, especially now more than ever. Don't close off your hearts. Don't like encase it in steel or something like that, because that will cause you injury as well. But just to be mindful and protect your hearts and your minds and your esteem. And this is the true value and worth, really, that money cannot buy. So I know a lot of people are focused on earning the mega bucks or whatever. That's all well and good and dandy, but what good is that if you don't have your mind? A fool and their money are soon departed. So going forward, personally, like, I mean, I've been strung along, playing into silliness. It happens to all of us. But I'm going to be a bit more on the ball, as it were, with blocking people who want to talk nonsense to me or crap about me. There's not going to be much room for negotiation. And that includes hearing about it. So I'm no longer really interested in hearing about the antics of delusional misfits. I mean, come on. we might observe their behaviors in terms of trying to have a better understanding. But in terms of a personal level of character assassination, there's no point, especially when you understand the psychology of a sense of self. I mean, you're trying to assassinate a character that is not even in that hasn't even really, like, you're trying to assassinate a sense of self which is not authentic. It's a mirage. So it's preposterous in a way. You can't, even if you wanted to make personal attacks, how can you if this person is basically an NPC and has no soul, if that makes sense? You're just assassinating their mask, and we already know it's baloney, so what's the whole point? But if we're looking at behavioral analysts, then that's what we'll be doing. But in terms of personal attacks or assassinations, there really isn't much point. So I don't particularly want to be entertaining that now. It might still happen from time to time, but hopefully we can nip it in the butt. And there might be times, it does require some intervention, but this will be a case-by-case decision, judgment. And as long as they're not really targeting people like I care about, then I shouldn't really be caring about it all that much. A waste of my emotional energy, and takes away from those who deserve it more. Obviously, it's something that might need to be worked upon, so I'm not expecting like an overnight change, but we'll see a gradual shift over time, hopefully. It's kind of funny because it could work both ways. Like if we were to discuss, say, celebrities, we wouldn't expect them to care what we think or say. But when you talk about other people in a lower tier, like on YouTube, then these lower tiered people seem to be more inclined to create a ongoing feud, and the rees become a shriek of noise because their boo-boos have been hurt. Which is why things are said about me, I'm not really. It's not a case of trying to self-promote and propel myself into a higher tier, but this should be applied to everyone. That you shouldn't really be interested in what some misfit has to say. It's the story of the lion. It's the story of what is it? The donkey and the tiger, talking about the color of the grass. I've forgotten how it goes. Like, the donkey says the grass is blue, the tiger says no, the grass is green. What the hell are you talking about? And they take it up with the king of the jungle, the lion, and the donkey says, Your Majesty, this tiger says the grass is green. They're crazy. We all know it's blue. And the tiger says, no, the donkey is wrong. So what is it? What's the decision then, oh, Your Highness? And the lion says to the donkey, indeed, the grass is blue. Now get out of here. And the tiger is perplexed. Why, Your Majesty? Are you letting the donkey go? Surely you know the grass is green. And the lion says, oh, and the donkey says, the donkey demands punishment. So the king punishes the tiger. And the tiger is like, what the hell's going on here? Why am I being punished? We know that the donkey is wrong. And the tiger says, well, we both know that the donkey is wrong, but, I'm not going to be able to change the donkey's mind. And you're being punished for 5 years or something like that because you entertained the fool. Why would someone of your capabilities, being a tiger, care what a silly donkey has to say. You know, shame on you for being so silly in that sense. And that's the sort of case in point here. Like, who cares what these buffoons have to say, really? I mean, we give them more credit than they deserve. And obviously, that means if you feel like your reputation is under attack, or your character has been under attack, or your esteem and things like that, of that nature, you know, your emotions are getting riled up, then really this is a reminder that you need to take better care of yourself and not be so pulled along or puppeted, your strings of emotions being tugged on, for this to really matter. And if it helps to remind yourselves even more, this is a lot easier when you're a parent, because when children are bickering over something so trivial and silly, you have a better perspective and context and be like, this is, you know, you're crying over spilt milk. Funny thing happened. My kid had a meltdown because she spilt milk and it went into the TV's remote control. And as such, we couldn't turn the TV off. And she was crying and crying because so to turn the TV, I had to unplug it from the mains. And she was like, "No, the TV's broken." And because I was saying to her, like, "Look, I'll fix it, but I can't fix it if you're screaming at me to magically just abracadabra. Like, I need to get my tools. I need to open this up." But yeah, so it was a simple fix. But she thought it was the end of the world. You know, the TV's busted now. But yeah, just open it up and dry out the milk from inside, and it worked again. So if they want to believe the grass is blue, then let them. If they want to believe that you're some sort of Satan, like I was called Satan once, okay, fine. You're entitled to believe that if you want. I'm not going to stop you. You know. So that's the tacking on to the last stream. That took a little bit of a while to get through. You know, anyone else has joined us? Where are we in the chat? Just yeah, you guys. Hey, you guys. Oh, Ping's here, so we'll go from here. That's a troll account. I don't know who you're talking about. I can have a guess. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, GM's here. Okay. Good evening, Mom. Yes, the creative emojis. Wait, are we talking about troll? Have we got one in here? Is there a troll in here? Oh, are we debating on this Russ person? Ah. Okay. Okay, we got our science. Well, would we be surprised that trolls are gonna be lurking around? Are we gonna be surprised of new accounts and things like that? No. They're gonna. I mean, the more you try to deny in a way, the more persistent they'll try to be. You know, if they want to stay and be, what's the right way of putting it? Because, you know, they want to cause mayhem, but they have to be on good behavior, otherwise they instantly get booted. So it's an effort for them. Okay. Right. So Okay. We've got warning systems have been activated, and we have plenty of mods in here. Peng, are you a mod, by the way? If you're not, I shall. Those that I'm familiar with, if you're not a mod, I will at some point mod you up. We'll go back. So Peng, I'll check on you later to see if you are one. Same as Mr. Pliskin, you as well. I don't know if you are a mod. No. Oh, it's already 1:30 in the morning. Okay, we're really going to have about half hour left, I think. I don't want to go to bed too late. So let's try not to get too distracted. If this is indeed a troll, then deliberating over whether or not is a form of giving this troll attention. It's like a game. Haha, guess if I'm a troll or not. So let's put this aside for now and simply pay the troll. If it isn't a troll, if you're not a troll, then apologies. You'll understand, hopefully, with time that we need to be cautious. Not paranoia, but it's been proven. So I hope you can appreciate and understand why people may be suspecting. We are safeguarding for very good reasons. But if you are a troll, then, you know, if we don't play this game, we'll see what happens. So I hear the caution, the concern. Let's see what the troll does, shall we? If they are a troll. Okay, now let me have a sip of my coffee. Oh, I need to take my pills. Hold on 1 second. If you're wondering what medication I'm on, it's Ramipril. Ramipril with a cold coffee. Coffee? Nearly 2 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. I don't really have a problem when it comes to drinking coffee late at night. I have less sugar in my coffee than I do with my tea. How do I slide into this topic? I mean, really, what I want to discuss next could be a video in of itself, but I think we'll just shove it in here. I'm not sure how to title this. I've tagged it with mice and men. And from time to time, we see a frustration when it comes to communities. People get disappointed. They start wondering, what the hell am I doing here? What am I doing? And it's not restricted to just the manosphere. I mean, you see this in the survivor community, and I'm sure many other communities, where once the honeymoon is over, once the party is done and time has elapsed, it's kind of like, what am I doing? You know, because now comes a point where, what's the expression? The rubber meets the road. You know, the purpose, the mission statement starts to become pertinent. And then the next sort of question will be something like, so where are we going? Or where do we go from here? Now, what this shows is those who are basically, it starts to bring up the time wasters, the people who are disingenuous and aren't really interested in healing, or aren't really interested in being a MGTOW or following the philosophy. They are moonlighting, or they are also another kind of way of describing it, jumping on the bandwagon, that sort of thing. They are not the type of person who wants to knuckle down and do the hard work. They think it's cute, and usually they're in such groups to piggyback and what I call wave the banner of virtue. So I suspect this is what becomes evident as this honeymoon fades away, because those who, and you'll notice, is the people who are trying to knuckle down and stay on target or on course and do the hard work, they're the ones who get frustrated with the community, because they look around and be like, what the hell are the rest of you doing? You're all wasting time, you're all goofing around when we've got serious work to be doing here. You know, so I can appreciate their frustration and their anger, but at the same time, it shouldn't be something. It's, well, as we get into it, it's a testing. It's a moment of test and resilience, and it's the knife that intersects, that highlights the ones who are real and the ones who are posing. And one of the ways you will tell is those who are serious will have a sincerity in their voice, and those who are pretending or trying to piggyback off the efforts and struggles of others lack the. See, they might know the words, they might sound kind of convincing, but you can sense that there is this, they are just disingenuous, and they lack the authenticity, the sincerity in their voice. They're trying to fool you into thinking that they are like you, or one of us, kind of thing. And they are given they have managed to get this far because of things like giving them the benefit of the doubt. We don't want to think that, sometimes in terms of men, well, the same with the healing group, people might be at the very beginning of their journey, so you want to cut them a bit of slack. But these grifters are included. They rely on this to be overlooked, that you will make exceptions for them, and you will justify their lack of conviction and commitment and effort. Particularly with men, because in the men in these spaces, the genuine men, want to be able to. They might not actually be biological, they might not actually be fathers, but there is a fatherly aspect to being a man, I believe. Even if you don't actually have children, you want to help parent, you want to help cultivate masculinity, for example. And that can be taken advantage of if one isn't careful. So what I'm getting at is that you have some people, like in men's spaces, in community, in healing recovery spaces, who are there with their good faith. They understand that it's a commitment, a struggle. It's going to take time, investment, energy, effort. It isn't easy, but they're gonna do it. And it's the ones who piggyback is the best way I could really sort of just name them. But they're the ones who turn those spaces into somewhat of a playground or a bit of a shit show. They're the ones who kind of interject the drama usually as a way of distracting from having to do the hard work. Like, how can I do the hard work if I'm busy deciding how to style my hair today? Like, come on, stop being stupid. We got work to do. And a real world example for those who, maybe if you're coming to this channel, you don't really understand these communities very well, is if you look in the realm of employment with work, especially if it's like a physical job, hard graft, there's no time to be effing about. If you do, you'll be out the door. Those kind of spaces, yeah, especially if you eff about, you might get yourself killed or something like that. So these kinds of jobs where you have to do the knuckle down and do the work. I mean, yes, when you know what you're doing, you can have a little joke and make lighthearted the situation, but the work still takes precedence. And at the end of the day, there's a good chance, these are things that break your back, and they break your back in a good way. It's kind of like you feel knackered and worn out, but you feel satisfied as well for doing so. There's a building of character within that. And people with soft hands don't understand this, and they think, they glamorize the idea of, I'm going to join the army because it sounds good. It's like, well, you're gonna reality is going to come crashing down on you. Now, whether or not you're going to have this realization and actually get in line and do it, that'd be fantastic. But if not, you're cannon fodder, or you're going to be a whiny baby and complain and probably say that you're a victim. And to be honest, the rest of the guys probably would be glad to see you gone because you become a liability at that point. And that's the same. That's what I'm saying is what's going on in these communities is that with these soft-handed people, if we're not careful, they become a liability. Now, there's a point where this isn't about showboating. This isn't about like when you become a MGTOW or you're in the red pill or the philosophy or the manosphere, that you must always be collecting accolades and achievements and medals and trophies. Like coasting along is still an achievement and it's fine in its own regard. That's not really the point I'm making. It's the piggybacking. It's the parasitical nature that some people have. We need to be weary of, and we shouldn't allow that to dissuade us from wanting to be part of a community. If you want to leave a community for other reasons, that's fine, great. You do you, and it's up to you. But if you're leaving because there's a parasite who's trying to suck the esteem or credentials or something like that from you, then that's a real pity, because in a way that parasite has won, and you are now altering your life based on this leech who shouldn't really have the power to be controlling you in such a way. That's why I'm saying it's like it's a testing time. If you identify such behaviors going on, it should really be a reminder to you to not like double down, but to assess what it is that's important and cut out the riffraff. And by cutting out that sort of silliness, that drama, that parasite, they become irrelevant and give it a couple of days or weeks or whatever, and they wither away and die. And I think that's the way really that it should be dealt with. Not look around and be like, I see a bunch of wannabes piggybacking, showboaty kind of, these are frauds and charlatans. Well, I'm going to get out of this place. This ain't for me. I think it's the other. It is for you. They're the ones that don't belong. And to remove them is by you staying on purpose, by staying on track. So a man with vision, he has direction. He has a destiny. He has he sees where he wants to go. He has meaning and purpose. And if he's got his sights set, then he shouldn't really be swayed by what's happening around him. And with this ambition, he'll want to work. And this work, although it might be tiresome, it won't be like a burden. He'll do it regardless of how tired he may feel. A little bit like how, not to sound a bit, like when someone is bipolar, they have their manic, their mania phase, and that results in them not really sleeping because they're so full of energy. Now, I'm not saying everyone start being bipolar now, but I'm just using that as an example. Like when you've got ambition, when you've got vision, when you've got you've got the motivation, determination, then you don't feel so tired in a way, if you get what I mean. I think you do. And whatever pain he may suffer, it's one that is self-inflicted because he knows that what he wants comes at a cost. And I'm sure many of you already are familiar with that. You can't have it both ways. If you want things, there has to be a cost, a consequence. And that might be time, it might be money, it might be your friends, it might be your social life. You might have to stop playing your computer games if you want to get that degree. Now, the trick is being able to, with discernment, be able to tell who is there in this community, or what sort of level are they? Is it someone who just needs some guidance? Are they young and they're a bit naive? Do they need a bit of support? Is it someone who has a lot of deprogramming, as it were, to go through? So are they, going through a lot of trauma? Are they very confused? But we should be able to, by now, ascertain, like, who is the freeloader amongst people? Who are people that are distractors, the sly trickster, particularly if they're trying to implant certain ideologies or certain concepts that in many cases start to become, no, I'm not trying to knock on religion or spirituality, but that seems to be a nice little one trick to sort of get people on a slippery slope, because once you get them into religious thinking or spirituality, or you start talking about esoterical sort of things which are hard to have a argument with a discourse about, because how do you prove such? How can you prove, like, when people take that conversation in such directions, they're taking it into a place where they are untouchable. So how can you have a debate with them? You can't. And so if you start falling into this trap, you are entering emotional landscapes. And in closing to this little section on mice and men, try not to be perturbed from being part of a community if that is what you want. This isn't about purity, and instead it's actually about remembering those that it matters to and the benefits for them. Because while you're busy looking at these charlatans and considering, like, oh, should I leave the community because of them? You're turning your back on the people who are there for the same reasons that you are, or at least you are originally. And that's why these charlatans, they're very parasitical, because not only are they taking away your time, energy, and effort, and making you get agitated and annoyed by it, but it's also selfishly taking away from those who actually want to do the hard work. And I could see that when I was in the survivor community. You could see those who are mucking around, talking silly new age hippy-dippy crap, and those who were actually deeply introspecting, and their world was collapsing down. But that's a fantastic thing to happen, because now they can actually, once they become atomized, they can start to really see things for what they are and put themselves back together correctly. And sadly, it's very few, but I suppose, like in the manufacturing world industry, I suppose it's not very cost effective, but if you can get a few quality made products, not to say that people are products, but then perhaps it's worth it. I mean, this is the rarity and the speciality that emerges, and it's a shame if those people have to bear the brunt or pay the cost because of some sort of parasitical swindler. And obviously this ain't gonna stop the freeloader, the parasite. They're gonna still try and test your character, but that is why it's important for you. That is why it's a reminder to you to not let that get to you and derail you. And obviously, perhaps you might not even realize it until you've already been pulled along and you've already been derailed. But even then, it's like the point is that you do have that realization. It's like, for the last month or so, I've been away from my purpose. So okay, at least it might be late now, but at least I realize it, and let's get things back on track. So that's a reminder of being present in mind, to step back and see what's going on here. And if it helps, to apply the Occam's razor, if you're familiar with that, where you cut out the fluff, the unnecessary, silly, trivial, circular conversations that go nowhere. If you're arguing with someone for weeks on end and it's going nowhere, you've argued for far, that you both lost in a way. So as complicated as we might like to go and delve deep dive, it can be fun and interesting. Remember that when we reduce things down to its most simplest forms, there you will find the man. There you will find what matters. It's raw. It's uncompromised. It's composed. It's looking around, head on a swivel, but with his head on straight. and I hope that is of use. Going to pretty much end it there. Let us review the chat room, and we'll have any closing remarks. Okay, I see we're still talking about, maybe this is, oh, it's timestamp. So within the last 15 minutes, we're still talking about trolls. We shouldn't be talking about trolls at this point. If we are, then we are feeding into the troll. Look, we already know how this works. For the time being, you know, a troll will be on their good behavior because they don't want to be booted out, but time will tell. So we'll see how well and how long this game of playing nice lasts for. All will be revealed in due time. And again, I will apologize if you are not a troll, then we are just overly cautious and protective. You could say that once you pass the purity test, you are trusted or whatever, then you will have the support of the people here and these gentlemen and the ladies. All right. Goodbye. Hold on. Now, how is it I can only block you for 5 minutes? I was trying to get rid of you altogether. But that's what I mean. I'm not even going to bother, you know. You're going to come here and act like a fool. You're gone. So, the whole issue of trolls aside, is there anything anyone wants to quickly bring up? Because I'll be closing it more or less soon in the next couple of minutes. I'm not sure what this is all about. You know, it seems like a separate conversation is taking place. Right, negative people act like social vampires. What do you do? Well, don't deal with them. What do you do if there's a vampire? You get away from them. You go no contact. See what I mean? Simplicity. It doesn't have to be a big kerfuffle about this. I mean, what do you want to? Why? What do you want to do? Do you want to stand there and be like, "Oh, it's a vampire," and wet yourself, or what? Do you want to stand there in shock horror and let them fly at you with their fangs and draw your blood, or would you get the hell out of there? You know, you would get the hell out of there. And maybe you might check on your boundaries to make sure the vampire isn't following you. But it's pretty straightforward. Well, it's not to say that there aren't feelings and emotional ties and tethers and things like that. But again, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. You take it for what it is. It might hurt, but life goes on. You must carry these pains and traumas with you. Now, how you decide to manage them so that they are not a detriment to your life or they cause you some sort of paralysis is up to you. If you want to dilly daddle, is that the way you say it, over trauma and the nuances of what transpired, well, you can do, but don't forget that sands of time are forever depleting. So how much time do you want to allocate to that? You know, what I'm trying to say is that find your closure, resolve the matter, case closed. Get on with your life while you still have one. That's not to sound unsympathetic or, sound cruel. It's to try and spare you and keep your focus where it matters the most. And that is basically on your own well-being rather than what someone did to you. Never mind what they did to you. What matters is that they're no longer doing it to you and that you have moved on. I'm sure we've all had times, depends on what kind of scale you want to sort of put it, but, oh, so-and-so kicked me in the balls and it hurt. It's like, okay, I know that's in the part. I know, maybe your balls are still sore, but we can't time travel and take it back. Like, sorry about, like put a bag of ice on it. Maybe that will help, but you need to get on with things. You can't stand there for the rest of your life cupping your balls, can you? Lord Sauce is here. Good to see you, sir. I hope okay, a couple more minutes and then we're gonna wrap it. So if you've got something you want to, a quick little point, a suggestion, a question, whatever, now's the sort of time. But I hope we're gonna start to see, hopefully, that there is this, and no fault of anyone, I think it's been cultured into us to overcomplicate things, to make things more bigger, aggrandized than they really need to be. Bring it down, Occam's razor, simplify it. What really matters here? Like, just not live in the past. Just try to progress going forward into the future. And you can't do that if you're still thinking about the past. And when you slice away this excess fat, this baggage, well, you remove the stones from your backpack. You travel quicker and with a spring in your step. Not to get too silly, but behind all of that flubber is really where the man is. Now, particularly if you're talking about a man's space, masculinity, his fortitude of his mind, things like that. In a way, you don't even need your body. Like if the man resides in his head, if you're a brain in a jar, you still qualify as a man. And that is why also, not only is it important to slice away this flubber, but to simplify things, but at the same time, it helps you to evaluate what truly matters and what's really important, what makes the grade at the end of the day. And this will calibrate you and orientate you. We talk about like navigating the world and all this sort of stuff. Well, this will help focus and consolidate all of this stuff. And your sense of self will start to emerge. I hope that helps anyway. we can get a bit. There I am harping how tricky like spirituality and esoterical kind of stuff is, and there I am touching upon it. So we'll end it here. I'm not sure when the next stream's going to be. I want to get this couple of what I was saying earlier at the start of the stream, like the backlog of some bits and bobs out of the way. But when I want to come back with some hopefully some good topical stuff. Oh, we've got a lot. Some of that stuff works too, though. We're talking about the esoterical stuff. Those, I do like to go off into that kind of realm. Hey, back in my day, I was very hippy dippy. I was very into the cosmos and all this sort of stuff. But with psychological awareness, you kind of dial that stuff down, and you realize, hang on, you're flying off into the astrosphere, into the ether. You're like, no, come on, back to Earth. We need to make it tangible, not crazy, because you get too fantastical that anything goes. Then, all the power of the mind, and you could do anything. What, you mean I can levitate? What, if you believe it, if you believe enough, then you can. It's like, come on, no, we are not going to have, that scene in the Matrix when he's like, come on, Neo, jump off the building, you have to believe. We are not doing that. Get that straight. I don't want anyone thinking, oh yeah, I can fly. Look, Mom, I'm Peter Pan. Be like, no, I'm not liable for that. That's on you for being an idiot. All right. Okay, so be well, everyone. Take care. I'll speak to you soon. And regulate the emotions. Settle down, calm. Like, let's try not to get heightened. Let's try not to get riled up. There's no, they want you to be like that, so don't let them have their way with you. All right, you might not realize it's happening, but if you catch yourself, try and catch presence in mind. If you catch yourself getting worked up and emotionally invested, that's a sign to you. That's a red flag, So, so peace be with you all, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.